Hey guys, this is Hetu and welcome back to etlqalabs. So guys, today we will be taking up this question. I think this is important as I feel. So I thought that I'll explain this question, right? You might have faced this kind of questions, right? So I think it's important that I'll discuss this, right? So the question is about please explain full load and incremental load and how to test the same, right? So this is the real time scenario, right? How actually ETL system or ETL processes works in the real production system, right? And the very design of these two different type of basically loads that we actually deal with any data warehousing projects, it's basically about full load and incremental load, right? And when actually we go for each of this situation, we will discuss in detail, and at the end we will also understand how to test them, right? Each of them. All right. So let's start then. So let's try to understand basically what is full load first of all, right? Full load, and then what is incremental load. So let's try to put some differences here, right? And then that will make really our understanding better. So incremental load, right? So as name suggests, right, full load means what? Basically loading the entire data at one, right? Once, everything. So whatever data you have, let's say in your source, right? So this is how your ETL works, right? So you have source, then you have transformation here, and then you have target, right? This is how it is, right? In nutshell, right? There will be various stages here as well between source and target, but I mean this is the generic kind of the holistic view, correct? Now, full load, in case of full load, basically we actually go ahead and extract entire data at once and then load entire data into target. So this is basically full load scenario, right? And this full load scenario generally it happens in kind of in very initial phases, right? So there are so let's try to understand what is this, right? So when entire source data is loaded, right? This is the full load, right? And then here only data which is changed from from last load, isn't it? So like whatever data which is new data, right, or updated data which has not been, which is different from the last load, right? That is the only data which is loaded, right? So we'll take the example as well, but understand that this is the full load scenario and this is basically the incremental load scenario. And when exactly we do this, basically we do this when the scenario, right? Kind of, let's see, when do we perform this, right? So obviously, when we perform is basically one is when we have the initial load, correct? Initial load. When is the initial load? For example, we are actually building a new data warehouse, right? And in that data warehouse, we actually try to put the whole load at once, right? Just we actually build the data and then we actually push entire thing into one go, right? This could be one scenario. And then second could be kind of, that there is a data migration which is happening, for example, right? So let me just make it better a little bit. Okay. So when let's say we have a data migration, or let's say the database migration, right? Database migration, migration project, right? Migration projects, where what we do actually, let's say we have a data, before that we have the Oracle data ORCL, to we are actually trying to do Teradata. All right. Okay. So here what we do basically, uh, we actually do the full load again, right? Because before my target was actually, let's say, Oracle, and then after that the target become Teradata, right? Now Oracle is actually we don't have any data in my Oracle, right? And then what we do actually, we actually go ahead and we load the entire Teradata data into this. So it's kind of this is another one scenario, right? Where we actually load the historical data from the previous old data to the new data. So this is another scenario, right? Third thing is It also happens when there is lot of issue in your data. So let's say you have data quality issue, DQ issues, right? There are a lot of DQ issues in your system, right? And one day you decide that, okay, let me actually go ahead and do a fresh load, right? Because I don't want to fix the load. Let's say some file system got changed or something, some particular column which was actually populated since last many months, actually the wrong data, which we need to replace. In that case, what we do, we actually go and load the full data, right? In that case, basically, we we handle the data quality checks in this case, right? Now, coming to the coming to the scenario when incremental load. So we'll write a scenario when we perform, right? When we perform this, right? So first scenario is basically it is always when we have the incremental data, like a smaller set of data, right? Set of data, uh, or they can also say that when exactly we do, right? We do actually, um, for example, you know what? I mean, we actually uh, deal with smaller set of data that we know, right? And there is no kind of you can understand, right? I mean, normally, generally, in our day-to-day basis, right? So this is actually our day-to-day activity, right? Day-to-day activities, right? So we actually load all our day-to-day data using the incremental load itself, right? Because we don't want to go for the full load, doesn't make any sense, right? So we'll take that example as well, right? How do we do that? And so this is kind of the scenarios that we are looking at it. Let's see the real-time scenario, right? What exactly we do. So mm, it's visible, right? So third point, right? Third point, what we discuss is what is what is the advantage, right? What is the disadvantage? Let's say disadvantage. One second. Disadvantage. Okay, fine. So disadvantage, in terms of disadvantage, this is actually resource intensive, isn't it? Resource intensive because it takes lot of processing, right? And lot of time as well to process this. So that's why it is resource intensive, and we do not recommend our normal or the day-to-day process to actually use any sort of full load until it is really decided and needed, right? And so this is one thing. Second is basically it is performance wise as well problem, right? Performance is another disadvantage, right? Why? Because you are actually loading the entire data. It might takes hours, right? Hours to load the data, which is again a problem, right? Now, third thing is basically it's very slow, right? Which can actually hamper the business as well, right? Business impact, right? So these are a couple of disadvantages that we have using the full load data, and so as I said, right? So this basically has to be dealt full load and incremental load. We have to actually decide carefully, right? Now let's try to understand what is basically the scenario when we go for full load and when we go for incremental load. Let's try to understand one by one, guys, here. Okay. So first thing is when exactly we go for we'll see the scenarios, right? So let's say we have a bank, right? We'll take the bank example, right? Let's say I have ABC Bank, right? And ABC Bank is basically dealing into retail customer, right? Retail basically bank accounts, loans, etc. Right? So this kind of actually products they are dealing with it, right? Now what they do is basically bank is supposed to actually store all these transactions into their data warehouse. So what they have done, there is a operational database here, right? Let's say this is their operational database, and this is, for example, their warehouse. All right, this is their warehouse data warehouse, and this is their operational data, operational database. Okay. Now, what these operational databases are basically, these are helping to deal with their transactional, right? Transactional data. I mean daily basis, right? Transactions, what is happening? They are happening on this particular database, and this is basically also OLTP system. Okay, and this is OLAP. Because this is data warehouse, so this is also containing your historical data. Okay, historical data. Fine. This is probably, let's say it is storing, let's say, last 10 years of data, and this probably might be storing, let's say, 6 months of data. All right, and after that they don't need to store this because they want to actually move to historical data, right? Data warehouse. Now there is a ETL system that actually bank has set it up, right? Here is a ETL process. ETL process. And what this ETL process does, by the end of the business hour, right? End of the business hour, for example, one second, we will just take an example like end of the day, what they do, actually they run this ETL process, and this actually load the entire data, right? So here you will understand when exactly we will be using the full load and when we will be using the kind of what do you say, incremental load. So full load in this case, right? Full load, the bank can choose to run it on month end actually. Okay, month end. Why? Because bank actually try to see if there is any kind of data discrepancy, etc. is there, so they can actually run the monthly file, month end they can run with the monthly file. So they have a file which is generated monthly. Okay, which is monthly, and which actually this monthly file, no, this monthly file is basically containing last, let's say, 30 or how many days, right? 30 days data. It's containing a single file containing all the data here. Okay, now uh, so this is the full load scenario, right? They can do it. I'm not saying they have to do it, but they can actually choose something like this, right? This is the full load scenario. That's what I'm saying. Full load scenario will only happen on certain occasions. This will not happen every day, okay? Because this is very expensive, very performance incentive, and very slow, right? So that's why this full load scenario can happen based on certain things, right? As I said, bank realized that there is some problem in the existing data, so they actually can go and load the full load because they suspect that the incremental load did not go well, right? And then they can go for the full load, right? Now, on the day-to-day basis, as I said, right? Every day, incremental load when it will happen, right? So incremental load, right? So every day at the end of the day, their process will run, ETL EOD process will run, and it will actually take that particular day's transactions, right? Day's transaction will be loaded in warehouse, correct? This is how exactly it will happen on the daily basis, right? So so this is the real time scenario, you can understand, right? I mean, this is where exactly it happens, like full load and incremental load generally in the bank or everywhere wherever you go, right? Normally we actually go for the incremental load. Now what exactly we do in incremental load is basically the file that we receive, right? Either the full file that we receive, actually what we do, I'll tell you how. Full load is straightforward, right? We'll get the full file, right? The file itself will be full file, right? So this file, full load file, full load file will be having huge file, right? Huge file, and it will be loaded without any problem, right? This will be a kind of, but in case of incremental load, right, there will be a delta file basically. This is called delta file, and this particular file will have only new or updated or new records. Okay, and this particular file will be processed, right? There is no separate process. Okay, the ETL process is going to be same only thing is this file that will be actually provided as part of extraction, right? So here we have extraction ETL, correct? So the file that we actually extract, right, this extraction file itself will ensure that it is actually containing only that updated or delta record and then loading. So there is no difference in terms of extraction, and I mean extraction will obviously, right, they will be extracting something which is new, etc. But in terms of kind of processing transformation, there is no issue. I mean it will be same only, right? Extraction uh, will be handled kind of, they will be producing that delta file only. So this is how it happens. Okay, now I think it is making sense, right? What we exactly we do actually in terms of testing. Now you can imagine like how actually we can test, right? So in terms of testing, right? I mean, it again depends on various other factor, but just to explain you, give you some idea, right? Test scenarios, right? What exactly we do normally here is test cases, right? What exactly we do? Uh, in full load, right? In full load, we actually go to the target, right? Target count should be equal to source count, isn't it? For that particular period or whatever you want to say, for that particular day, right? So there is no filtration applied here, right, for that particular day. But in case of kind of incremental load, right? Incremental, we have to be careful about it, right? Because maybe in source we might be getting we might be getting all the data, right? You have to actually put a query for that particular day, right? So let's say source getting 100 rows, but in target, I mean target, let's say 1000 records are there already, right? So this 100 record only should be actually compared against this, right? Because this is actually in target, the older data as well. So what I have to do is actually I have to extract something like this. Let's say I have both the databases. Just take a simple scenario, right? This is db1, this is db2. What I can do, I can say select star from target where, right? I can just put a date, right? So what date, or maybe cop date or something like that, close a business date, etc. We'll put some date, right? And then we actually extract only those 100 records, right? You see whatever is coming from here, and then we take this record and then we can actually do minus if both are database, right? I'm just taking a very simple scenario and select star from what? Select star from source, right? Now it has got 100 records. This also has got 100 records because only 100 records went through here, right? For this particular date, correct? So this is how actually we can test it. Now this is very simple scenario that I'm telling, right? Because see here in target, we don't need to filter anything. Entire thing will be loaded from source to target, right? We don't need to do anything about it, okay? So but here we have to actually select for a specific date, right? Correct? Now there are various scenarios that we have to test, right? Because see, we have to ensure. So here, what is happening is incremental load, right? In incremental load, there is something called change data capture, CDC. You might have heard about it. It's called change data capture. What it actually does is, it basically it's a methodology which will help to perform this kind of incremental load, right, on the ETL side. So this is the technique that they actually apply. What they do, they actually check whether there is any change in the data. If it is not, then they will drop it. If there is a kind of change in the data, then they will process it further. So this is the technique that they use to load the data. Now what we can do is various checks we can actually perform here. So for example, incremental load, they can actually additionally add along with this, checks like row count or maybe some column level checks, etc. Along with that, they can also do something like this. They can also check whether updates are happening properly or not, right? Updates are happening on target or not, right? I mean, let's say new records has come, it should be updated. I mean, there is any change the record, that will be updated. New records, that you can also check whether new records getting added, right, in data warehouse, correct? Or if there is any deletion coming, right? Deletion let's say the same kind of record which is actually deleted, kind of any deletion thing is coming, it should be actually getting delete kind of in data warehouse, right? So all those kind of scenario, again, you have to actually check your uh, mapping document, right? STM document, right? But again, I mean, these are some scenarios that actually you can go and check it, right? So hopefully this gives you some idea, okay, um, um, around this whole logic around, what is incremental load, what is full load, etc. Okay, I try to just explain you. Maybe if you have some more question, we can actually, you can send it across, and I'll be happy to take it forward, right? So yeah, that's all for this video, guys, and thank you for watching. And if you are new to the channel, please subscribe. All right, and that is something that as a token of appreciation from your side, and also share with your friends, and also comment, like, you can do all those things, right, just to appreciate my work here. All right, so yeah, that's all for this video. I'll see you with another topic. I keep watching your comments here, guys. Okay, so whenever I feel that these are some important topic I have not covered in my previous lectures or previous videos, then I ensure that I actually put some lights on it, and that is how actually we cover your questions, right? So if you have some important question, please do send it to. If I feel that we have not covered it, I'll definitely take it up and do a video for you. All right, thanks then, thanks everybody, bye.